What's going on, YouTube? So the Lexus RX and Acura MDX have long been some of the best-selling luxury crossovers on the market. As a matter of fact, both claims to be the best-selling, as an overall luxury CUV for the RX and the bestseller with a third row for the MDX. That's why it's a big deal when these two get redesigned, and also why they're such fierce competitors. But which one impresses the most with these all-new generations? That's what we are about to find out. Now usually we start off our comparisons by discussing the pricing, which we will do but with a caveat. Beginning with the MDX, today we have the a-spec trim, which is the one with sportier design elements. It's one of the top trims in the lineup, and as such, its $61,000 price tag is not surprising, and actually comes across as a pretty good deal for a luxury brand. Here's where the caveat comes in. Lexus has not released official US pricing for the RX at the time of this video. That being said, we do know everything else about the RX. And by using the option packages and bits of information we picked up from the RX press launch, we can make an estimate. Based off of 2022 option prices and our estimated price increase for this new generation, we estimate the total price will be about $65,000. But let's not wait any longer to get into the meat and potatoes of this comparison. Starting things off with the exteriors, both have fresh and modern designs, and they also have a good deal of edginess in these sport-oriented trims. The front-end designs are where things are most aggressive, with both models using large grills that are blacked out. That really stands out in the RX's blue paint scheme, along with the optional triple beam LED headlights. The MDX also has full LED headlights, and both of them have fog lamps as well. Moving to the side, both are front-wheel drive based crossovers, but their hoods have been lengthened to give them more pleasing proportions. On the MDX, the side design is punctuated by 20-inch gray alloy wheels, and on the RX, 21-inch gloss black alloy wheels. As we continue our way around to the rears, both have pretty sporty designs just like the fronts. Beyond the cosmetics, there are a few differences between them, namely the fact that the RX hides its rear wiper under the spoiler for a classier look, and the MDX uses exposed exhaust tips instead of hiding them behind the bumper. Both have premium full LED taillights, but as far as towing capacity, the MDX does have the advantage. Now let's move on to some of the individual features. Checking out the mirrors, they both have heating, blind spot monitoring, and power folding, but only the RX includes auto dimming. In addition to BSM, both also include every other active safety system you can think of, standard on all trims. Among them are forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, adaptive cruise control with stop and go, lane keeping assist, traffic jam assistance, and auto high beam headlights. And the last thing on the outside to mention are the warranties, which are the same. But anyway, that concludes the outside. So now let's see how luxurious and spacious the interiors are before we take them out on a test drive. So first, walking up to them, both have smart entry systems and nice key fobs. Remote start is also available via each brand's respective app and subscription services. The RX's door handles look like a normal one, but they are actually electronic releasing. That small difference aside, when you open the doors, you are greeted with two very modern and luxurious looking designs. The MDX's interior stands out more in the bright red, but rest assured that both are available in black or red depending on your personal preference. Now starting with the seats themselves, both are heated, vented, and have memory, but there are also some differences. The MDX has 4-way lumbar versus 2-way on the RX, and the RX is also using new Luxe leatherette for its seats instead of real Milano leather and suede in the Acura. Once fully inside the cabins, we can begin to inspect the overall material quality. Both are very nice places to spend time and have a wide variety of premium materials. I'm going to declare them equal in this regard, since they both have certain advantages over each other, like more aluminum and leather on the dash in the MDX, but better materials on the center console in the RX. After startup, you'll see some differences right off the bat. First, the RX has an 8-inch partially digital gauge cluster, while the MDX is rocking a 12.3-inch fully digital one. The second thing you notice, though, is that the Lexus comes with a very large and interactive head-up display, which is something not available on this trim of the MDX. Coming back to the steering wheels, both are leather-wrapped and power adjusting, but only heated on the Lexus. Another area of importance is interior storage, since these are two family crossovers after all. MDX has a large center console and giant wireless phone charger. However, the styling of the dash prevents it from having the large front bin that the RX has. Both models have electronic shifters, but the Lexus has a more finicky operation that always requires a bump to the left before shifting. However, once you are actually in reverse, it's the Lexus that gives you a 360-degree camera. And now that brings us to the volume knobs. So let's go ahead and give the audio systems a sample. Both these systems provide spectacular sound experiences that will certainly impress. And despite the different speaker counts, they sound pretty much equal in person. The climate control systems are 3-zone automatic, and is partially embedded in the display for the Lexus. That's only the beginning of the differences between these two infotainment systems. First off, the Acura's display is 12.3 inches, and the RX's is 14 inches. Second, the Lexus has a new touch-based software, whereas the Acura has to use the less intuitive touchpad exclusively to control the system. Lastly, they both have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, for those of you who want to use the interfaces you're already used to. Wrapping up the front of the cabins, only the Lexus has a rear camera mirror system, and they both have large panoramic sunroofs. Most people use these for family vehicles, so now let's check out the crucial rear areas. Starting with the space, these two are sized nearly identically. In both leg and headroom, the MDX does hold a tiny advantage, but it's less than the 5% difference required to score a point. Let's also talk about the amenities you will find in the back. Choosing the highest end trims will unlock a few more features in both, but as far as these, they have reclining seats, climate controls, and USB ports. Acura has available heated seats, and the Lexus heated and ventilated seats. Two things the Acura has that the Lexus does not are window sunshades and a multifunction middle seat, which can be a seat, a center console, a storage, or be removed completely to make captain chairs. And now we come to a very important element. Whereas the previous generation RX had an available 3-row model called RXL, this generation does not. That means if you need a third row, or even want the option for occasional use, then the MDX will be your choice. Heading to the cargo areas, again we have substantial differences. According to the numbers, the MDX has 25.2 cubic feet more max cargo volume, even though visually it looks a lot closer than that. But now it's time to take them out on the street to see who leads the pack out there. So heading out on the road, both these crossovers are very focused on the mission of comfort, but they go about things in very different ways. The MDX sticks on the traditional route, using a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine under the hood. However, the RX has traded in its V6 engine for a turbo 4-cylinder in this new generation. This means the Acura has more horsepower, but the Lexus more torque.
Alright. Upon that acceleration, though, you might have noticed that there's going to be pretty significant changes for this all-new version because this actually has a 4-cylinder under the hood. It's going to be a 2.4-liter turbo 4-cylinder, making 275 horsepower, 317 pound-feet of torque. So you're You're going to have good power figures. It's going to be a little bit less horsepower than the previous RX had, I believe, and you're going to have more torque than the previous version had because you have that turbo 4-cylinder that's going to have a lot more torque. Nice.
So there we are, going up to 60 miles per hour with the MDX. Of course, we also were accelerating up a pretty steep hill there for reference, but as you can see, it handles it very nicely. This, of course, has that classic 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine, 290 horsepower, 267 pound-feet of torque. Really just a very refined engine on board. Plenty of power, of course, but I think the main thing is just that refined, smooth power delivery.
Right.
It really makes it pretty effortless to get this vehicle up to speed. Let's also address the smoothness. Lexus has done a good job making the Turbo 4 quite smooth and refined, but when it comes to engine NVH, there's no replacement for a tried and true super smooth V6. I'm thinking it feels just as strong out on the road as the previous V6. I think really the biggest thing that a owner of a RX 350 in the past might notice different is just the sound.
Yeah.
I think you hear the sound of a 4-cylinder, you're maybe losing a little bit of refinement from that V6 because those were always so buttery smooth. That was one of the best things about the RX 350 was that buttery smooth V6. You are losing a little bit of that refinement with this turbo 4-cylinder. We also need to discuss the other aspect of the powertrain, the transmission. We were driving a pre-production RX, but we did experience a small hesitation between gear changes with its 8-speed automatic. In comparison, the MDX's 10-speed automatic did not cause any head bob even under heavy acceleration. Yeah, and the engine makes a nice sound too. It's got a good raspy, meaty type of note to it. Let's talk about the other aspects of the powertrain. So, you've got a 10-speed automatic transmission. That, of course, is very important because of the performance of this model. They in-house developed this 10-speed. They use it in a lot of their products, and it's a very good transmission. Never really feels confused or anything like that. And speaking of smoothness, that is really the most important thing with these luxury SUVs. Both ride amazingly and absorb all but the largest road imperfections. That being said, the RX F-Sport has adaptive dampers, so it can ride serenely on super beat-up roads like these in California, and it can also firm up for a more buttoned-down feel.
And another thing RX is known for is, of course, the phenomenal ride quality. That's going to continue for this new generation. It's one of the most comfortable vehicles money can buy. It just really soaks up the bumps. Like Drew said, we're on a super rough road, and it's doing a fantastic job of just absorbing the bumps, being very comfortable. I want to point out, F-Sport handling, which is what we have today, does have the adaptive variable suspension. It's going to be shared with the F-Sport Performance model on the 500H, and boy, does it do a good job. It just really allows you to have a little bit more fun on the country roads as well as just soak up the bumps in normal everyday driving. Yeah, and let's just go ahead and talk about your overall comfort level since he was mentioning that. I think that's, like he said, the most important part about an MDX is just the comfort side of things, and it does such a phenomenal job. As you would expect from any MDX, it just soaks up the bumps. The suspension just handles everything so nicely. The seats are incredibly comfortable.
We also collected our signature sound level readings in both SUVs. Like we already mentioned, the road the RX was tested on was extremely rough, but it still scored very close to the MDX on our home turf. That tells me that it will continue to be one of the most isolated vehicles on the road. So we're going 55 miles per hour now on this back road here. I'll go ahead and qualify this by saying this road is really beat up, but we're gonna go ahead and get a sound level anyways. Alright, we're setting at 56.6, which is a very respectable number considering all the obstacles that's going on right now.
Right.
We're bouncing up and down on this beat up road. And, RX is always known for being really, really quiet. That's one of the strongest areas, and I can definitely tell.
Alright, wow. 53.9 decibels.
And lastly, for fuel economy, the RX's engine choice has a definitive positive impact, beating the MDX by 3 mpg combined. And there we have it, another super close comparison between two fierce competitors. As you can see, this could very easily end up going one way or the other based on what you personally care about most. So, make sure to let us know in the comments below which one you would choose and why. We can't wait to see what you guys have to say, and also drop your ideas for future comparisons in the comments as well. Anyway, thanks for joining us for this Car Confections comparison, and we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and help us continue to make more comparisons as well as our signature full review videos. Take care and stay safe out there.